தானலவைங்கோஷ க்ஷேத்திரமிதில் வளர் தானெனும் மானமாம் தானிய உளுந்தை நானாரென் ஞான விசார திரிகையில் நானல்லவென்றே ಉಡೆತು ಕೊಡಿತು
ತನುವಿನ ನೆಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಬೆಳೆದ ಅಹಮ್ಮಿನ ಹುರುಳಿಯ ಕಾಳನ್ನು ಸುರಿಯೋ ನಾನಾರೆನ್ನುವ ಆತ್ಮವಿಚಾರದ ಬೀಸುವ ಕಲ್ಲಳು ನುರಿಯೋ
ತನುವನು ನೇಲನು పెంచిన అహమను ఉలవలు ధారగ పోసి నేనెవరిన నెడి ఆత్మ విచారపు తిరుగలి నందిడి విసురు
तन के खेत में उगे अहम के उरद दानों को लिए मन ही मन में कूटते जाओ आत्म विचार के बल से।
एकम अक्षरम हृदि निरंतरम स्वयं लिख्यते हृदय कुहर मध्ये केवलं ब्रह्ममात्रम् यहम् साक्षात् आत्मरूपेण भाति हृदि विषमनसा स्वं चिन्वता मुच्यता पवन चलन रूधा आत्मनिष्ठो देहं मृण्मयवत् जडात्मकम् अहं बुद्धिर्न तस्यास्त्यतो नाहं तत्तभावशुद्धिसमये सिद्धात्मसद्भाव कोऽहं भावय तत्कुतो वदधिया दृष्टात्मनिष्ठात्मना सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचल शिवः पूर्णो विभाति स्वयं सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचल शिवः पूर्णो विभाति स्वयं। Namo Ramana. We read from Guru Vachaka Kovai. We read 2 verses, each verse followed by a short meditation on meaning, that followed by 10 minutes of Atma Vichara. We commence the satsang by reading a verse from Guru Vachaka Kovai. The work consists of 3 segments: investigation, meditation, and experience. We are reading from experience of the truth. The subsegment is omniscience. Verse number 926. Omniscience. Omni is all inclusive. Science is to see or to know. Verse 926. Because you do not know any being other than yourself, Atma Swarupa, only the pure, attribute-free consciousness that shines as fullness without any limitation, is in truth the omniscience that excels unequaled. It is not the other knowledge that comprises simultaneously and completely knowing events in 3 times, past, present, and future, and the 3 worlds. There is a note by Muruganar Swamigal. Since everything is pure consciousness alone, and since that pure consciousness is one's own real nature, the truth is, apart from oneself, no other being exists. Because divided and particularized knowledge ceases in that self-state, having no room to exist, only the attribute-free consciousness, the reality that shines undivided, free from the act of knowing, is in truth omniscience. I'll read the work again. Verse number 926. Because you do not know any being other than yourself, the Atma Swarupa, only the pure, attribute-free consciousness that shines as fullness without any limitation. This is in truth the omniscience that excels unequaled. It is not the other knowledge that comprises simultaneously and completely knowing events in the 3 times, past, present, and future, and in the 3 worlds. Now, there is an incident in Bhagwan. Devotee comes and there is some interaction, and according to the discussion between Bhagwan and him, he has to go to Pondicherry and do some work with Sri Kapali Shastri and then finish that. But the moment he leaves ashram, he expresses to the others, the other ashram members, that he cannot do any such thing because he doesn't have any money. So he says whatever he has left, he can go home, that's all. But then the event so transpired that he goes to Arunachala temple, something happens, he gets the exact ticket back to Pondicherry. Then in Pondicherry, he meets Kapali Shastri, who gives him, says that you have come all this way to meet me. I am not able to provide you hospitality. Please accept this amount as hospitality from my side. You should accept. And that amount is exactly enough to come back to Tiruvannamalai. And as soon as the inability is expressed to the ashram member comes and reports to Bhagwan. He is saying, that gentleman is saying he is not going to go to Pondicherry. Bhagwan says, don't worry. He will not only go to Pondicherry, he will go there, he will get the money exactly, and he will come back here on such and such a day. Now, this is usually termed as omniscience. The ability to know the future, the past, and the present simultaneously. Now, that is considered to be omniscience. But Bhagwan is making very, very clear here. Omniscience is to know oneself, to know that there is no other. In one of our other satsangs, we were discussing the verse 14 of Ulladu Narpadu, which goes somewhat like this. Tanmai undel munnilai padarkaigal taamudavam தன்மையின் உண்மையை தானாய்ந்து தன்மையரின் முன்னிலை படற்கை முடிவுற்று ஒன்றாய் ஒளிரும் தன்மையே தன்னிலைமை தான். The verse means roughly that so far as the first person is taken to be real, then the second person and third person also appear as realities, and one is constantly caught in the struggle. Who is the cause for all these problems? Unless he clears it up, I am not going to be in the clear. They have all connived and put me into this position. Unless that gentleman forgives me, I cannot relieve myself of my karma burden. Now all these confabulations are erased by Bhagavan's teachings, where there is nobody other than the Atma Swarupa. There is no other. When you inquire into the truth of the first person by asking who am I, the first person vanishes. He doesn't have reality. The Atma Swarupa arises, and along with the first person, the second person and third person, and all the confabulations we had of cause finding, error finding, attributing, this person is a good person, that person had intentional mistake, all these things are erased in one go by Bhagavan. In Atma Ucharam, where one is aware of the self-luminous self. To be aware of the self-luminous self is to be the self-luminous self. There is no other way. உள்ளது உணர உணர்வு வேறின்மையில் உள்ளது உணர்வாகும் உந்தி பெற உணர்வே நாம் ஆயுளம் உந்தி பெற. To experience the self-luminous self, there cannot be another light. One has to be the self-luminous self oneself to say, I am experiencing the self-luminous self. So, the individual who started the inquiry, Unarve Namayulam, the individual who started the inquiry that I have to find, by doing self-inquiry, I have to find my source, understands that the search and the individual are no more there. Only the source exists. Only the source is the self-luminous self, and that is one's reality. Now, to realize this is omniscience, Bhagavan says. To be silent, to rest in one's Atma Swarupa is the omniscience of Ishvara. Now, in Dakshinamurti Stotram, it is said that those who seek the Atman, the Ashtamurti are described, and Adi Shankara says it is best to seek who the I is. And it is said in the Falashruti that those who seek the Atman will get Ishwaratva. Now, Ishwaratva includes omniscience. And Bhagavan says, what is this omniscience? When you do Atma Ucharam, the thoughts go, the first person goes, and the second and third person vanish along with that, and the self-luminous self alone exists and shines. To be the self-luminous self is omniscience. There is no need to know one after another events. These are all coalesced and consumed in that one consciousness which has no attributes, which alone exists without any other. So, in obedience to Bhagavan's teachings, let us sit in Atma Ucharam so that we are immersed in His grace and follow His instructions and go towards this omniscience. Make our best effort to remove the thought, to remove the first person, and go towards the self-luminous self. Bhagavate Shri Ramaya. We go on to the reading of the second verse. This is from part 2, that is meditation on the truth. The greatness of Upadesha, the Guru's teachings. The greatness of Upadesha. Verse number 502. The bewildered and confused minds of devotees flow and flee away into the pathways of the worthless senses. The bewildered and confused minds of the devotees flow and flee away into the pathways of the worthless senses. Be assured that the wise utterances of the one who has taken firm possession of the heart, that is the Guru, these wise utterances are the excellent signposts to the goal of having their minds abide in the heart, ending their outward flow. The bewildered and confused minds of devotees flow and flee away into the pathways of worthless senses. Be assured that the wise utterances of the one who has taken firm possession of the heart, that is the Guru, these wise utterances are the excellent signposts to the goal of having their minds abide in the heart, ending their outward flow. Now, what normally happens to the sadhakas is described in the first sentence by Muruganar Swamigal. The bewildered and confused minds of devotees flow and flee away into the pathways of the worthless senses. Years and years, janmas and janmas is what is said by people who know about birth and rebirth. We have spent janmas and janmas flowing and fleeing into the worthless pathway of the senses. Today, even scientists agree that the senses cannot produce accurate information. The way the senses are, the way they measure, they obviously cannot bring us the truth. They are so fallible. But because of abhyasa, because of the dosha of understanding or identifying with the body, I am this body, Bhagavan says, Yendil piravi eduthu irudi. That is, we have taken countless births going the way of the worthless senses, either through the eyes, where it is knowledge these days that 70% of our attention goes to the information received through the eyes. About 20% of our attention goes for the information received through the ears, and the rest for the other three senses, at least the jnanendriyas. Now, all the five, or Bhagavan calls them as Aimpula Kalvar. Aimpula Kalvar Ahathil Pugumbod Ahathil Nilayo Arunachala. They are the ones who, if you give them Chaitanyam, if you give the senses Chaitanyam, they rob us of the Atma Swarupa, the jewel of Atma Swarupa. Aimpula Kalvar. Sadhuvam Swamigal says that Kanam Ulagai Ninaipada Kadavul Ninaivu Poivu. That is, the way in which the thoughts are designed is that Either they can be outward turned or they can be inward turned. They can't do both. They can't do both simultaneously. Therefore, any outward turned nature is a direction that is taking us away from real happiness, a direction that is taking us away from real jnana, a direction that is taking us away from real iruppu, real existence. That is why Bhagavan calls them as Aimpulak Kalvar. So we have to turn inwards towards Arunachala. Aimpulak Kalvar, Ahattinil Pugum Bodhu, Ahatil Ni Ilayo Arunachala, Uruvana Munnai Volitavar Varuvar, Unsude Arunachala. Where Bhagavan says that this sensory world is also your play. Therefore, allow me to turn inward. These instructions, the beautiful instructions of Bhagavan, this verse says, laid out in the collected works. All those instructions are signposts telling us one thing: turn inward. This turn inward is used by Bhagavan in so many places in talks. When you read the talks, Bhagavan will tell to the seeker, turn inward. Now, that Upadesham of turning inward is such a significant and life-turning thought kullal, it is said. It is said that Muruga, he stops Arunagirinathar from going outward and he takes over his life. Tadutta art kullal. When Bhagavan gives this instruction and when we really are allowed to understand that by his grace, that is Tadutta art kullal. He literally stops us from going in the wrong direction and makes us turn inward, where exactly the truth that Atma Swarupa is shining by itself. That is why in this verse it is said that the wise utterances of the Guru, who is ever residing in the heart, who is nothing other than the heart itself, these wise utterances are signposts towards one thing. The signpost is saying, don't go in this direction, turn inward. That is one major starting point for meditation on truth. What does the teachings of Bhagavan do? It asks us to turn inward. It asks us to turn inward. Turn inward and go towards the Atma Swarupa. How to do that? Even when we turn inward, what is it that pushes us outside? It is the vasanas that raises as thoughts. These thoughts make one go outside, either withholding the senses or outside into the mental world. Into the mental world of contemplation, one goes either into the mental world of imagining things we go. Therefore, the signpost says, don't go after thought as soon as it arises. From the unrecognizable state of vasana, when it blossoms forth as thought, don't try to complete it. Let go of the thought and inquire, for whom is this thought? The answer will always be, this thought has arisen for me. Immediately make the quest, who am I, says Bhagavan. The I, which was going outward into the area of the robbers and which was going to get lost, which was going to get bewildered, now turns inward to safety. By asking the question, for whom is this thought, who am I? It stops going outward into bewilderment and comes inward towards omniscience, towards seeing of no other. With repeated practice of letting go of thought and holding the I, Bhagavan assures one gains the ability, one gains the strength to rest in the Atma Swarupa. Till such resting or abiding in the Atma Swarupa is realized to be our very nature, one should make the effort to let go of thought and turn inward in the right direction with the quest, who am I? With Bhagavan's immense grace, let us sit for 10 more minutes in Atma Charan. Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramana.
Namo Ramana. Prostrations to Ramana, who shines as the self in all beings. Knowledge is something that is very empowering. So, as Muruganar Swami has recorded Bhagavan's words, the siddhi of knowing what we think is omniscience must be very, very empowering, must be feeling really something great to have. One of the devotees, he records that in Skandashram, Bhagavan suddenly started telling that siddhis are all of no use. Then that devotee says, I did not have any such concept in my mind. I did not have any desire in my mind for siddhis. But when Bhagavan said that very strongly, I realized that it was a warning that he was giving me. Because supposing we are having a dream and there are so many people, there are so many things in this dream of ours, and we are able to know everything about everyone in our dream. Would it be true knowledge is what Bhagavan is asking us. Isn't waking up and knowing it to be a dream alone the true knowledge? So, of what use is even omniscience, that is said to be the highest knowledge, knowing all the spaces, knowing all the time, the three times, the Trikala and the Triloka, is said to be known in omniscience. Knowledge of everything, knowledge of everything. So Bhagavan gives us a warning in Upadesha Saram. He says, Jnana Varjita Ajnana Hina Chit. So any kind of knowledge that we have is obviously knowledge of an object. And knowledge of an object without knowledge of a subject is of no use. Bhagavan says, of course, in Ulladinarpadu, that the only siddhi, again he emphasizes the only siddhi is the abidance in the self. All other siddhis are soppanaman siddhigale. Siddhamai ulpurulai terndirittal siddhi. To be able to search for and abide in that vastu, in that truth, which is by itself ever attained. It is not something which is newly attained. So, innumerable examples are there by the great ones to warn us against searching for any kind of siddhi. But how it has relevance even to us who may not have omniscience is that even when we know something, we feel very thrilled about it. When somebody speaks in a way that we expect them to speak, we say, yes, I knew he would say this. Or when something happens in a way that we expect it to happen, I knew it would happen. Yes, I expected it. This is the way. I knew this man will turn this side and that man will come. Therefore, this car will get hit here. Something or the other we will know. And we will always say, oh, I knew it. And that itself is a warning for us that the moment we know something, we feel happy about it. So that conversation I had today with one of the devotees about how it was pointed out to us in yesterday's satsang to be alert from moment to moment. That otherwise what happens is that we feel thrilled about an intellectual achievement. The mind actually is going along the way of the senses only, as Bhagavan is telling in the second verse. Any movement towards an object is the mind going along with the senses, because in some subtle way there has to be a physical form for that object that we are grasping. So we were discussing that the moment we have a thought, that thought arises, oh, I am not able to do much of self-inquiry. I must start doing self-inquiry. Although I want self-knowledge, I am not doing self-inquiry. So we discussed that when we say, when the thought arises, although I want self-knowledge, what happens? We feel happy that we know that we want self-knowledge. I feel happy that I know I'm not working hard enough for it. But instead of feeling happy with that knowledge, we should ask, who is it who wants self-knowledge? Who is it who is not working hard for it? And we also discovered that the moment this question is asked, who is it? There comes about immediately the dropping of thought, and it is so beautiful. It feels so light. Okay, now should we stop there? The knowledge that by asking who am I, we will feel light. No. We have to further say, who is it who is now feeling light and feeling, oh, self-inquiry is a very good thing. It makes me feel light. To that point, Bhagavan says, without being proud of or happy about any knowledge that we have, because knowledge is of the object, unless one is abiding in the self, there is no point in any other knowledge. That is what Bhagavan is telling us very beautifully, because again and again the mind grasps objects, the mind grasps experiences and feels happy about grasping that knowledge, that area of knowledge. And this is a timely warning for us again and again. Bhagavan is giving that let us not feel happy that we recognized this, that we know this about ourselves or anybody else in the world, because it is all within the realm of the illusion itself. When the one who is having this knowledge is illusory, how can any knowledge be of worth? So within the dream, if we know anything at all, it is not of any value. Waking up to the truth alone is worthwhile. Nothing else, however exalted, the most exalted example has been given to us, even that is not worthwhile. Self-abidance alone is the true siddhi. It alone is the true knowledge, says Bhagavan to us. And by his grace, he repeatedly reminds us of this truth. Repeatedly, however many times we may tend to forget, the most patient teacher, the most patient Sadguru, again and again repeats this truth without tiring. That is the wonder of his grace. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ram.